In 1983, Sally Ride became the first American female astronaut in space, thus paving the way for other women in the U.S. Sally Ride was born on May 26, 1951 in Encino, California. Sally Ride was the oldest of two daughters of Dale B. Ride and Carol Joyce Ride. Ride's parents believed that Sally and her sister Karen should discover their own interests. When Ride was 9 years old, her parents took a year off and their family went to travel Europe. Ride soon found interest in sports. Sally Ride started playing tennis when she was 10 years old. Ride attended Westlake High School for Girls on a partial tennis scholarship. After trying a career in professional tennis, she returned to California to attend Stanford University. She received a Bachelor of Science degree in physics and a Bachelor of Arts degree in English. She later earned her Master of Science and then started working on her doctorate in physics. In 1977, NASA began looking for female astronauts. Ride was a student at the time when she saw an ad in the school newspaper asking women to apply for the astronaut program. Ride decided to apply along with thousands of other applicants. While Ride was waiting on an answer from NASA, she returned to Stanford University to finish up her PhD. Sally Ride was chosen over more than 8,000 applicants. There were 35 new astronauts chosen and 6 of them were women. The new astronauts called themselves the 35 New Guys. The 35 New Guys started training in July. The first year of the program, Ride studied computer science and engineering, also learning all about the space shuttle. The training that Ride went through helped her find out that she really enjoyed flying, so on her own time, Ride took lessons to get her private pilot's license. NASA did not have a special fitness program for the astronauts, so it was up to them to stay fit. When Ride was in college, she found a love for running, so every day she ran 5 miles. As an astronaut, Ride began weight training also. In 1979, Ride officially became an astronaut. This meant that Ride could now be assigned to a specific space flight. In the space program, each astronaut was assigned to a certain project. Ride was assigned to an engineering team. On Ride's team, there was a Canadian manufacturer, and their goal was to create a remote manipulator system, RMS. The RMS was a robotic arm used to move cargo in and out of a shuttle's cargo bay. Ride spent the next 2 years figuring out how to use the RMS. Ride also learned how to be a capsule communicator, also known as the Capcom. The Capcom is the only person who talks to the flight crew during a mission. Capcoms also had to know everything about the mission. They had to be able to speak clearly during a mission and be able to stay calm. Ride was the Capcom for the second and third shuttle flights. Ride was also the very first woman to take on this position. In 1982, NASA announced the members of the 7th shuttle mission. The members were Robert Crippen, Commander, Rick Hawk, Co-Pilot, and Mission Specialist, John Fabian, Sally Ride, and later added Dr. Norman Thagard. After, Ride spent long hours preparing for the mission. She studied the flight manual, which had a step-by-step procedures of the flight, then spent hours in the simulator practicing each step repeatedly. The simulator is a vehicle just like the shuttle, the only difference is that it never leaves the ground. When Ride was training, she was often interrupted by reporters. Being America's first female astronaut to take flight, she became quite the celebrity. Sally did not like the fact that America had not already gotten used to women taking flight in space. She did not want America to think that she had been chosen to go to space because she was a woman. On June 18th, Sally Ride's family sat in a special visitors area to watch the launch.
8, 7, 6, we go for main engine start. We have main engine start and ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of STS-7 and America's first woman astronaut. And the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Ride had a lot of work to do once she got up into space. To pay for the expenses of space travel, NASA got flight crews to do work for other countries during a mission. So during the 7th shuttle mission, Ride and Fabian had to deploy a Canadian satellite as well as an Indonesian satellite. They had to try out the RMS, and the idea was to release and retrieve the satellite without using too much of the shuttle's fuel. Ride and Fabian made a permanent change in space on their mission. They were the first astronauts to retrieve a satellite in space. After spending 6 long days in space, it was time for the crew to come home. On the day that Ride and her crew were scheduled to return, all of Ride's family had flown to Kennedy Space Center to see her land. Unfortunately, the weather in Florida was gloomy, so NASA thought it was best for the shuttle to land in Edwards Air Force Base in California.
The thing that I'll remember most about that flight is that it was fun, and in fact, I'm sure it's the most fun I'll ever have in my life.
Ride made one more return to space. This mission crew had 2 women on it this time. On the first day of this mission, there were many difficulties. This gave Ride and her crew the opportunity to go back and adjust their material while they were in space. This was a whole new experience for Ride, considering she had only been in space once before. Ride was preparing for her 3rd mission when the Shuttle Challenger, with some of Ride's closest friends from the NASA program and America's first private citizen to take flight, exploded on January 28, 1986. Ride was chosen to investigate the disaster. When Ride discovered that the cause of the explosion was a faulty O-ring on one of the solid rocket boosters, Ride announced that she would never fly in space again. After much research and rebuilding, Ride changed her mind about not going back into space again. She said that NASA had done a good job of redesigning the solid rocket boosters and made a spaceflight much safer. Ride didn't realize that she wouldn't have another chance to go back into space for a while. But NASA had another challenge for Ride on the NASA Advisory Panel. The goal was to provide a long-range plan for the future of space. On May 26, 1987, Ride announced that she would be leaving NASA. Ride stayed until she was finished with her study about the goals for America's future in space. When she gave her report on NASA's future in space, she recommended a base on the moon, where as many as 30 scientists could live and work. She also recommended human exploration of the planet Mars. She then accepted a 2-year appointment at Stanford University, doing research at the university's Center for International Security and Arms Control. After she spent her 2 years at Stanford, she accepted the position as a physics professor at the University of California, San Diego. She also took a part-time position as the director of California Space Institution. Dr. Sally Ride has won many awards throughout her life. Ride also came up with a program where girls could come up with a design for a toy, and they would get a chance to enter it into a contest, and whichever one is chosen, the toy will be made and put into local toy stores. Sally Ride continued her work of empowering girls until she passed away on June 23, 2012 at the age of 61 due to a long battle with pancreatic cancer. Sally Ride will forever be remembered for her courageous work in advancing women in the space industry.
It's spectacular to fly over the Himalayas in the moonlight and have them look like they're just reaching up to touch you. And you can see rivers in the moonlight, you can see fires all along the coast of Africa. You know, it's just a beautiful sight that it's too bad everybody doesn't get a chance to experience it.